Welcome back to another episode of Real Estate Revealed. Today, I'm going to answer the burning question, who are realtors? I'm looking at a report here from the National Association of Realtors. It's an annual report. It's called the Member Profile. And what it does is it's a random sampling of real estate agents who answered profile questions. And this question that is really at the heart of this profile is, who are realtors? Now, realtor being the trade term for every agent that belongs to the National Association of Realtors. Of course, that number has dwindled in the last year in light of what's going on with compensation, and NAR has been under fire, but that's not the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video is I'm going to share with you several of those key insights. And I'm telling you what, I've been doing this for 22 years, and some of these absolutely blew my mind. So let me reveal these to you today. Who is the agent? Who is a typical agent? And what that really looks like, from units sold to how many hours they work, and the percentage of agents who believe they're still going to be in the business in the next couple of years. So stay tuned. Okay, back to the NAR Member Profile 2023. Again, this really breaks down the real numbers. So if you're a consumer, you're thinking about who you hire as an agent, it's really confusing. It's confusing as hell because really, how do you know? You know, you have friends. Everybody has a friend that's an agent. Everybody has a family member. Most people do. And so I talk to sellers all the time, mostly sellers that say that they're going to use the agent that's a family member, or maybe it's a friend of theirs. And the challenge with that is that without knowing the numbers, you're quite possibly making the wrong choice. Not that hiring a friend's a bad idea. I love when my friends and family members use me. It happens all the time. But also, what about the other things? What about the other parts of the equation, which are going to be a purely a better indicator of your success and how well the transaction goes? Again, not really the point of this video, but just pay close attention to these numbers because some of them should be quite shocking and eye-opening. Okay, so again, this report, and I'll link it below, covers things such as business characteristics, business activity, income, expenses, office firm affiliation, demographics, and technology. I'm not going to get into all those in today's video, but I will get into the ones that I think are going to be the most eye-opening for you, as they were for me. So here we go. Let's talk about the number of agents that will remain as agents in the next 2 years. So this is the same across, this answer is the same across all agents. They broke it down into 1 to 2 years, 3 to 5, I think 8 to 10, and then over 10. So it's pretty much the same. So in other words, everyone answered pretty much the same in this one. 73% of agents believe that they were very certain they'll stay in the business over the next 2 years. Now, why isn't it 100? Why isn't it 90? Why isn't it 65? I think it doesn't surprise me really, given what's going on in real estate right now. We do have a high turnover rate in the industry. We always have, but especially with what's going on with buyer agent compensation and how that's getting turned on its head. So it doesn't surprise me that a lot of agents are going to be exiting the industry. I was here in 2008 when that happened, and we lost 40% of our agents seemingly overnight. So 73% are very certain they'll stay in the industry. And that's good. If the agents can buckle down and actually figure out how to make this thing work, and I believe many will, the winners will, and I think that the rest will just kind of fizzle out of the business. It's just what happens. Okay, median transactions. Here's the one that kind of blew my mind. So they broke down, again, based on these 2 years or less in the business, and over 15 years was the longest one. But median transactions, that's the number of homes that we sell. We call them transactions or home sales. 2 years or less in the business, the median transactions were 2. So in other words, the typical agent, that the median, now this isn't the average, but the median number was 2 transactions a year if you've been in the business for 2 years or less. Now that might speak to the reason why there's such a high concentration of agents leaving the industry, because you just can't make a living if you're only selling 2 homes a year. It's kind of sad, but I see it actually quite often where I'll pull up an agent's numbers and I'll see that. And when you ask them how they're doing, they might even answer they're doing great. But that's all relative, of course. So 2 is the median. Now, agents 3 to 5 years in the business, that number jumped to 8. So if you're an agent and you've been in the business for between 3 and 5 years, the median number of home sales, unit sales or transactions, is 8. And now let's bring this up to the veterans in the room. The agents that have been in the business for 16 years or longer, that number is 12. Now that still surprises me. What that's saying is that the median number of home sales for agents that have been in the business for 16 years or longer, I fall into that group, I've been in real estate for 22 years, is only 12. 12 homes, one home a month. I like to share with my agents when I'm doing trainings. Let's take a timer, an egg timer, and just turn it, remember, the hourglass of sand, and just let it run, a big one, for 30 days. It's a long time just to sell one home. So that number did surprise me. I was actually quite shocked by that, to think that veterans would be transacting once a month, doing the primary function of the role once a month. It's something to consider. Not only if you're an agent looking to get into the business, think about what that looks like. Are you willing to buckle down and increase that number for yourself? Wouldn't it be great if it was 4 to 5 to 10? And some agents are actually doing that. We're actually in kind of an 80-20 industry, which means that 20% of the agents are doing 80% of the business. And that's why that number is where it is. But it's certainly not what most agents signed up for, if we're being honest with ourselves. We didn't sign up to do one sale a month. It's hard to pay the bills at that number, right? With that number. Okay, moving on. Median hours work. Get this one. This is the one that maybe shocked me more than anything else. So 2 years or less, and here's why. 2 years or less in the business, the median hours worked was 30. So you're new in the business, which is where you used to be working 80 to 90 to 100 hours. I probably worked 120 hours. I don't even know, but I worked my butt off in the beginning, of course, and I'm still doing that now 22 years later. But the median hours worked 30 hours a week for agents in the business 2 years or less. Now let's go to 6 to 15 years. That number jumped up to, let me do the 3 to 5 first. 3 to 5 years is 35 hours. So actually, the more you're in the business, the more you're working, the more hours you're working. And then finally, 6 to 15 years was 40 hours. Now you're working a full-time schedule at that point. And then 16 plus, it's 40 as well. Let's break this down for a second. So you're telling me that the really challenging real estate industry, which it is, and it's super cutthroat and super competitive, and it really requires you pour everything, all of your heart, all of your soul, all of your energy, all of your tenacity, all of your research, working when you're not working, thinking about it, living, breathing, all of these things. I may be crazy, but that's what I did, and that's what I'm still doing, by the way. Less than 30 hours a week. Why is that? That doesn't make sense, does it? And then the agents that don't make it in the industry, they're wondering why they're not crushing it. It's because you're working less than 30 hours when you first start. A rocket ship needs massive velocity to get off the platform, my friend. So if you're thinking about why this isn't working for you, it's not just about working more hours, by the way. You got to work smart, but you got to work, and you got to go out there and work with passion and tenacity. And this 30 hours or less thing just blew my mind, but I think that's the deal. So when I'm coaching real estate agents, I'm finding out that many of them, they treat it not like a job, but rather they do the thing when they're doing the thing. In other words, what are you doing today? Well, I have an appointment at 4, for example. I have a listing appointment or a buyer consultation or showing homes to buyers. What are you doing until 4? Well, I'm at home. I'm mowing the lawn or doing the dishes or playing with the dog or walking the dog. That's the challenge, is they don't treat it like a job. I digress. Crazy. So after the 16 plus years in the business, most agents, the median is they're working 40 hours a week. And herein lies one of the biggest challenges, that the newer agents aren't working enough. And then, of course, 40 hours, maybe it requires more right now because it is such a challenge, perhaps. A little bit more on this hours worked. I was listening to a Brian Tracy. If you guys don't know Brian Tracy, he's one of the world's foremost leaders in personal growth and development, author, speaker, and just really at the top of his game. But he shares such key insights as far as those who really achieve at the highest levels possible. And he was doing a speech, and this came out in the speech. He said the typical multimillionaire works about 59 hours a week, and that was 6 days. So 6 days a week, 59 hours. I wanted to just drop this in here. Why am I talking about this still, the hours worked? Because after I have done this for such a long time and been through 3 market cycles, it is still a shock to me that the newer agents are putting in less than 30 hours a week. This is the time where you need to go all in. And for the consumer, that's really who this video is for. Give this some serious consideration. Look for those that are really out there doing great things in the marketplace. This really comes down to time on task over time. The longer you do something, the more you do something, the more you're acquiring the nuance, the skills and the habits of an agent who can navigate through pretty much any situation. So the more you do it, the better you get. time on task over time. The less time you put in, the less you're transacting, the less people you're working with, and the less you're going to be able to provide that world-class experience that the real estate consumer demands and deserves. Okay, let's move on from hours worked to something that also surprised me, and that is volume. So volume represents the amount of homes that you sell in its entirety. So let's just say you sell two $200,000 homes. That means your volume as an agent is $400,000 and so on. And it's a great measure because what volume does is it allows analysts or even agents try to figure out how they're really doing compared to their real estate cohorts across the nation or even the world, because volume sets the stage, the clearest picture about how an agent's really doing versus, say, units. For example, you could sell 10 homes, but each of them was 20 grand, so you sold 100,000 there. You see that? Versus, say, if you sell 5 homes at 400,000, your volume is going to be higher, therefore your compensation will be more. So here's the deal. 2 years or less in the business, the median volume was 400,000. So right now in today's market, 2024, that means that if you're in the business for less than 2 years, you've sold one property, maybe 1.5, but one home all year. Let me let that set in for a minute. One home for the whole year, 2 years less in the business. If you've been in the business for 3 to 5 years, you've sold 2.1 million in real estate. So that could be $2 million homes. It could be, I would say, maybe 5 to 6 regular, our normal price properties, and so on. So you get the idea, but let's just say it's 5 $400,000 homes at 2 million. So that's 5 all year if you're 3 to 5 years in the business. Let's jump to 6 to 15. The next group, 3.3 million. 3.3 million. So now you've sold, maybe you're hovering in that like 8 to 10 range, and you're selling from, say, 8 to 10 a year. Now, again, that's less than one home a month. I'm going to go back to the original thing I shared with that. That's not a lot of properties to move for somebody that's been in the business for 6 to 15 years. And that creates a challenge not only for the agent to survive and thrive in the business because you're not at that level, but also the consumer who's on the receiving end of that lack of experience. And that's really the point that I'm driving here, is it takes more than that to be able to do this, to make sure that the client is fully represented and they're getting the best possible experience. Because you just don't have enough transactions under your belt to see this thing coming or to see around corners and be able to guide in a fiduciary way so that the client's getting the best experience. Let's go to 16 years or more. I fall in this category. 22 years, 16 years or more, the typical agent is doing 3 million. So actually 3.1 million, it's down from the 6 to 15. So something happens after that 15 years where agents are selling less properties. This probably factoring in a lot of part-time agents. Maybe they're entering in the final stages of their career. That's probably a big chunk of that. So there's some volume for you. Give you the idea. This is the real estate reveal. So now you know that most agents aren't selling a lot of properties. Most agents aren't working a lot of hours. Now let's get into the real question. Here's the burning question. How about the money? Are agents making a lot of money? Well, let's look at that. So if you're 2 years or less in the business, the median gross income for real estate professionals in 2023 was $8,100. So that's selling a house. Maybe not even a house. It seems like it's about a half a house or maybe 3/4 of a home. Not sure how that's possible, but there's the median gross income for 2 or less years. What about 16 plus years? I cut out the middle part. Let me just get to that part. 16 plus years, the median gross income is $92,500. So if you're somebody that thinks that agents are just rolling and driving the Mercedes and living in the big fancy houses, the answer is mostly not. Most agents are not, because it's hard to really live that type of a lifestyle. In fact, impossible if you're making $92,000 if you have a family of 5, for example. So those are the real numbers here. So you have the hours worked, we have volume, we have income, and then finally, let me leave you this one. This one, kind of blew my mind. So technology. I took all the categories and clumped them together to give you this final piece for real estate agents and how we go about marketing properties and how we show up in technology space. Get this. What percentage of all real estate agents across all categories have a website? I thought it'd be like 90%, because even most brokerages just provide you with a website. Here's your desk, here's your area you're going to work from, and by the way, here's your website out of the box. 72%. 72%. That's shocking. How's that possible? That means that that like 18% of all agents don't have a website. What do you do? Where do you put your listings? Where do you advertise your services? If they don't have a website, that means that they're clearly not on YouTube or Facebook or other social media. The website's sort of the basic. I had my first website in 2002 when I started with Coldwell Banker. So all this to say, consumers, just be aware. This is an awareness piece. This is the real estate agent revealed. So now you know how many hours a typical agent works. You understand the number of homes they're selling. We're selling as a collective unit and on the averages for volume and money. There's the real deal. Real estate agents revealed. If you'd like to connect with me, reach down below and grab one of those links there and reach out to us. And we're here to help. And if you have any questions at all, we're always here to serve you. And by the way, if you find somebody that's in the business of buying or selling a home or thinking about doing so, share this video with you. I hope that this has been enlightening and revealing for you today. Until next time. Hey, real quick, thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Real Estate Revealed. If you like this video, please do me a solid. Like the video. There you go. Go on there and click it and like it. And then also subscribe to my channel, because I'm bringing to you the behind the scenes parts of real estate that you likely won't see or hear in any other place. And I'm going to cover all of the aspects of real estate, not just the tactical stuff about buying and selling a property, but I'm going to talk to you about things that you might not hear elsewhere. Come back to this channel often. I'm so happy and grateful that you're here, and please share it with your friends and family who you think might appreciate this content. Take care. We'll see you soon.